Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum. Straight talk about you and your money. Now from the BizTalk studios, here is Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's June 3rd, 2024. And in case you don't know, we're basically in summer right now. Just letting you know. In case they're trying to tell you all kinds of things. Climate change, global warming. I heard somebody say, it's hot in Florida. Hey, thanks. Had no idea. Anyway, this is serious talk about everything that affects you. Dead serious. With no agenda, no bias, no ulterior motive. And when we know we're doing a good job? Because nobody likes what we have to say. Because $35 trillion of debt and everything else under the sun that they have brought to us. So we trust them as far as we can throw them. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com. We'll also post it on our Twitter feed, which is now X. And if you don't follow us, you should. And email me, yes, please do. But just be nice. Where do I want to start today? Well, what do we tell you? The most important thing we do here. Protect your capital. And I must tell you, Winston woke me up in the middle of the night, and I go on my phone for 5 minutes, and I see that GameStop is flying because that jackass who's on the web, who put on a video and had GameStop go to $65 before you can say boo, and then, of course, it went down to 17, comes out, and I guess he owns a bunch of the stock. And I'm thinking to myself, why would it make GameStop stock go up? Because some guy on the web, whatever his name is, doesn't matter, he owns it. And I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. The stock from the highs of the first move to the upside went down 90%. Recently, it just went from $64.83 down to $17.08. And I'm thinking to myself, how much pain do people want? And how can they possibly not learn any lessons from pain? What is the line about fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me? And as we always tell you, we have no idea in the short run about outcome with these crazy stocks. We have no clue about the outcome in the short run. And when it was up to $65, it closed that day at 48. We said to you, we don't know if it's going to go to 100 tomorrow. Just don't be the last one in. Because they all ultimately go back to where they came from. Now, amazingly, people are jumping into this overnight, even though recently GameStop did a secondary offering which puts more shares, which is dilution. Go look up what the word, what it means and why it's a negative. And they lowered their numbers. But this guy, what's his moniker? Roaring Kitty. He puts out that he owns a bunch of stock. And amazingly, the stock opens at $40.50 today. It closed at $23.14. But what do we tell you? As I speak, we are pre-taping this show in the last 15 minutes of the market because I'm doing a little Fox News with Neil Cavuto in a little while, and I want to get the show done. So it's 3:45 p.m. The stock opened today at, if I can find it again, I can't find, over $40. It's $27.90 as I speak. 40.50 it opened at, and I'm just thinking to myself, what the hell is the matter with people? Just so you know, in order to go to $40.50, somebody had to pay that. Now, one would hope people are trading it that are buying in the trees, but what do I know? I don't know what people are doing. So that takes me to my next point. And I'm going to be very careful with my words because I don't want to be sued. So let me put it in this way. If you decide to play this stock or any other stock because somebody you don't know is doing what they're doing, why don't you question it first, whether they have good intentions or bad? I'm thinking to myself, I don't know when he bought his stock. And watch it go down to 17 and he needs to pop the stock back up? Or did he buy it when it came down at 17? I don't know. All I do know at this point in time, this person knows he has influence, and I believe he's doing things based on that. Just be careful. We're not going to tell you what to do. We're not going to tell you to buy, sell, short, or cover. We're just going to let you know it just went from 65 down to 17, and now today was 40.50 on the open. Now as I speak, it's 27.65. It just dropped another quarter. And I feel terrible. Excuse my French, but I know people are losing their ass on this. Nobody's getting it. Well, I take that back. I'm sure some people got in at $18 and prayed. But most of the noise is after the moves. So be careful. I can't believe I actually even have to talk about GameStop today. I can't believe that they have it jammed up. It's only been, let's see, it was up to 64.83 on May 14th. It's not even a month. It's 1 week, 2.5 weeks, and people are going insane again. And let me repeat. When the music stops, they all go back to where they should. You have a company that just lowered their numbers and diluted their own stock. Ooh, look at that. It's now down to 26.80. Just dropped $1 as we head into the close. And again, I can't believe I actually have to bring this up again. When do people ever learn? I've got to tell you. No, I can't say what I was about to say. I got to be smart. Question intentions. That's all. Next. Protect your capital. Well, I'm going to read a story. Has nothing to do with the stock market. A 75-year-old man has shared his heartbreaking text messages that cost him his entire $715,000 life savings in a sickening months-long pig butchering scam. The man, who did not want to be named, told the Wall Street Journal the ploy convinced him a younger woman had fallen in love with him and needed his help. The scam began in May and last year, when a woman posing as a lonely but successful Chinese 37-year-old woman living in San Francisco messaged him on LinkedIn. Over the next 3 months, she convinced him to transfer his entire life savings into a fake trading platform, promising that they would be able to get married and live together using the returns on his investment. Once he had exhausted all of his money and his partner's assets, the woman stopped replying to his messages, and his money is now gone. One would think I would not have to tell you this story. one would think we're all very logical. One would think you don't send your life savings to somebody you have never met. Yet this man, who I'm told is sane, lost $715,000, all his money. And they will never find the person who did this, though if they do, can't say what I would do to that person. And it's amazing when some of these things happen that I actually have to bring up to you. It's amazing that these things actually do happen. Up next, we'll put a bow tie on that, complain about a couple of things, and then the market. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
Hi, I'm Gary Kaltbaum, host of the nationally syndicated radio show Investor's Edge. We're not just handsome radio people. We manage investors' money for a living, specializing in fee-based discretionary money management. No big commissions, just a fee on the assets that's managed. We also provide a full range of personalized services, including retirement planning, fixed income, and educational needs, all to assist you in achieving your financial goals. Understanding not all individuals have the same needs, we'll carefully evaluate your personal goals to determine a proper investment strategy. If your current approach to investing is not getting you to where you would like to be, call us to make an appointment for a complimentary portfolio review. The number to call is 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. That's 888-422-5559. Investment advisory services offered through Kaltbaum Capital Management.
It's time to switch on the integrator units and get the brain cells working.
So, let me put a bow tie.
Investor's Edge.
When somebody tells you they are buying cigarettes in Florida and selling them in Maine and making 100% in their profit and they want to cut you in, 100% profit, they are lying. They are trying to screw you. When somebody says they are food diverters and they love you so much that they're going to cut you in, they are being scammed. When you are at temple or at church and they start talking to you about religion and have this great thing going on in Haiti where they are selling this, that, you getting scammed. The bigger the returns, the bigger the scam. And these people are very good at it. So what are you going to do when people approach you? You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be nasty. Your very simple 3 words is no thank you. That's it. This should be easy. Right? It should be easy as all hell. And why am I bringing these things up? You wouldn't believe how much money's been lost on food diverting and cigarette transferring scams. You wouldn't believe it. When somebody calls you up and tells you won the Mega Millions, but in order to collect, you have got to send a certain amount of money via Western Union down to Boca Raton, Florida, it's a scam. How do I know this? I've gotten the call a couple of times. When somebody calls you up and tells you your computer's been corrupted and they will help you out and they're from Best Buy or Dell or Compaq, whoever the hell else is out there. If somebody from the IRS calls you and tells you you're going to be arrested, it's a scam. If you get a call that kind of sounds like your son, but you're not really sure, and he's in jail and he needs a bunch of money, why don't you call your son first? It's a scam. Do you know how many of those are going on right now? You wouldn't believe how many of those are going on. They've been able to grab people's voices and call. I have a very close friend of ours that are smart people that sent out $1,500 to somebody. Catching my drift? All this I'm explaining to you comes from one thing and one thing only, GameStop. I am not going to call this a scam. I'm going to call it protect your capital when all else around you is going insane. This is not normal. Somebody by the name of Roaring Kitty putting out videos and getting a stock going from nothing up to 65 in a matter of hours is not normal. And then 3 weeks later, announces he owns some of that stock and it opens up at 40.5 today from 23. That's not normal. And we say that as we tell you we have no clue what's going to happen in the near term. But what we can do, being a little voice on the radio, handsome and buffed as always, is to just make you think twice, make you a little bit smarter about protecting your capital. And I would like to say everybody out there is nice and has no interest in ripping you off, but we know that there are a lot of people out there that love ripping people off. They're out there in droves, and sometimes it's legally. I think the guy with the SPAC ripped everybody off. I'd say it to his face. He sold all his stock into touting the hell out of all these companies that were merging. Made himself $1 billion. Oh, he's the toast of the town. I tell it to his face. You're scum. I don't care if he's a billionaire. You're scum. You sold into everybody while you were touting away. So protect your capital when all heck is going crazy. And we don't know what's going to be next. We've been reading about NFTs and how much money was lost on that. All kinds of crap. Which now we segue. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to spend 2 minutes on this and that's it. This is not a political statement, but unfortunately it is on the political side. I watched Dr. Fauci today, and as you know, I am not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat. I used to be a Republican in the Republican Party, but a bunch of maniacs took it over. I'm a Reagan guy, but I'm also an unbiased person. Green basically wants them to go to jail for the rest of his life, if not executed. You should have heard the vial out of her mouth. And all I know is each and every one of you, I don't care what party, and just remember, I just want you to remember in real time, only 1.1 million people died in the United States. In real time, we were turning on TV and we were watching, what do they have, those storage pods? They had these freezer storage pods of people dying, and decisions were made on the fly as people were dying everywhere. There is no way anybody could be right 100% of the time or wrong 100% of the time. But they're flogging this guy like he's the freaking Antichrist, and I got no blood in the game. The guy's been getting death threats up the wazoo. His family getting death threats. He needs security. And what did he do? He ran the National Institute of Health, and he tried to do good things and get this worked out. And I got news for you. Thank goodness we got these vaccines where a bunch of people saying didn't work, even though you can get we're technicians here. You can basically take a chart of the COVID, the deaths, and when the vaccines came out, and watch how the vaccines went north and the COVID and the death went down, yet people are pissing all over the vaccines like they're the Antichrist. And there are those out there that are saying things, oh, some people are getting sick and some people heart conditions. I'm not saying they're not. I'm not going to say no to people saying that they have troubles because of the vaccines or long COVID. Whenever something like this comes out, you never know. You don't know. But man, oh man, get real. Deal with facts. Go look at a chart of COVID and deaths and go look when the vaccine came out. And by the way, I own no stock in the vaccines. I never did. I got no blood in the game, but man, just deal with facts sometimes. Get rid or get out of your political, whatever you want to call it, and just deal with facts. And we got out of it. And if you think we got out of it just by happenstance, terrific. I'm not here to sway, but I am out here to defend. This guy's getting mutilated by a bunch of Republican hacks on TV. Guy's not perfect. I guarantee you they made mistakes. They're complaining about, they came out with the 6 feet and the masks. I got news for you. I never went anywhere, let alone 6 feet. I was scared crapless of dying. I had people down the street from me die. They didn't know what's best. Everything was on the fly. Just remember that. Get out of your political crap and just remember where we were and now where we are. Up next, the markets. Crazy day again. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
America is talking.
Investor's Edge.
He's got to be pleased with that. The crowd is just on its feet here. He's a Cinderella boy.
With Gary Kaltbaum.
Comes highly recommended. You're going to feel better if you talk to him.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Thanks for being with us today. That was my Fauci dissertation, and let me repeat, never met him, don't know anything about him, I have no blood in the game. I'm absolutely amazed that some people need to have a bogeyman at all times. And by the way, this is both parties. And stop believing everything you hear from politicians on both sides of the aisles. Next. Let me finish up with one word. One place. Maldives. Anybody ever hear of this place? It's a bunch of islands somewhere. They will not let Israeli citizens visit. Just so you know, they said something stupid about the India prime minister or something, so nobody was visiting, and then they apologized. Well, let's see how many Jewish people decide to go to the Maldives. This is unbelievable racism and anti-Semitism. No Israelis allowed. Up yours, you piece of crap. I don't even know the guy's name, but I just wanted to bring that up. Okay, now we're done. Heading to the markets. Ladies and gentlemen, the Dow was down 400 today, finished only down 115. And again, like Friday, a nice little ram into the close. The Dow in the last, I don't know, let me get it for you. In the last 5 minutes was up 100 points. It was down 200. All day the NASDAQ was better because of a couple of names. All day the semis had relative strength because of a few names. And with the Dow going from 400 to only down 115, NASDAQ was up 93 and the NASDAQ 100 was up 64. And guess what did it? NVIDIA up $52 today. They announced some product thing. And as I look at my screen, not a lot of the tech was up. Just so you know, I have my screen set in a way I see everything. And in technology land, there was nary things up. Now, Apple was up. That is the second largest, I think, behind Microsoft now. A few semis were up. And then you had these, again, Lam Research was down 20-something, finished down 5. I mean, just amazing to watch. The most important thing, though, the Dow was down 400 and only finished down 115. And by the way, I say the Dow down 115 is a great thing. Just letting you know. What else did I see today? Let's talk the negatives. Okay. The good news, fundamentally, oil prices dropped $3 today. That is a huge drop in one day. There was some news out of OPEC that should have made oil prices go up. They said they're extending their oil production cuts into 2025. Really? So prices should go up. Instead, they went down, and a lot. Fundamentally, that's good. Why? Just for you, the consumer at the pump. What else happened today? Fundamentally, for you, yields dropped over a stick today to 4.40. That's great for you. But I also have to say, United Rentals down 32. Caterpillar down 7, was down 12. Oil stocks got trashed. Parker Hannifin, these are just economically sensitive industrial types, down 18. Carlisle, down 12. You getting where I'm going? So the good news is the Dow rallied back up some, most of the way. That's good news. The semis and the NVIDIA thing, good. Though, may I state for the record that a lot of red. And then the transports were down another 163. So here is my question. It's a pretty good question. Is the market starting to really yap of economic stress? We already had a 1.3 GDP. We already had a 1.3 GDP. We'll see. All I know is if demand is dropping, oil prices will drop, yields will drop, and economically sensitive stocks will drop. And I gather the outcome of today was saved because of, in the near term, it is really good news. It's really good news that yields are down markedly and oil prices are down markedly. Now, we don't tend to know the exact 1 + 1 = 2, but certainly that would be what I would call a decent thought process on the outcome. So just letting you know, anything economically sensitive really icked today. Now, they were also coming after financials, but they were a big help to the market coming back today by finishing off their lows, and I gather that was the lower yields helping to a certain effect. So a lot of cross currents, but good to see for those that are market invested, the Dow rallying 300 points in the last half hour Friday, and today 300 points off the lows, doing the trick, while NVIDIA, NASDAQ 100 semis, while advanced declines on the NASDAQ were flat. So we'll call it very good outcome by the close. And you know we're big likers of how things close. And the fact that 2 days in a row they closed them well, probably a good thing. Because if they can't sell them off when they can sell them off, you get my point. The same thing about if they can't buy them up when they had a chance to buy them up. Gold bounced today. But I got to repeat, huge for you, the consumer. Oil prices plunging and yields heading down, in spite of a lot of things. Now, listen up. If if we end up going into some sort of pretty good recession. Do you know how we'll know? The Dow that closed at 38.5 today will be at 35.5. The S&P that closed at 5280 be at 4,700. I've never seen a time where the market did not flush out a real bad economy. Now, again, we're starting to see it in some areas, and this is added to software stocks in bad shape, a lot of tech, not big tech, in bad shape, amongst the transports in bad shape. But overall, another good finish. NVIDIA. What I am told is the reason why NVIDIA was up 50. By the way, we own NVIDIA. As you know, we bought it January 8th. Sold it the day after the big reversal. Just bought it back on the gap. Amazingly got 100 points in days. Supposedly more products and quicker. And the market like that. That's the story. And others had a pretty decent day. And up next, we'll go through some of the others. And a couple of other things that are sticking out, both good and not so good, is the Jell-O is moving on the plate in a big way. Up next, we'll cover that. And whatever else. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge.
You're listening to
What are we waiting for?
Well, what are you waiting for?
1, 2, ready, go.
Action!
Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum.
And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. All right, I'm just going to mention a few names. Chipotle finished down 53 today after being down 95. They're being accused of lowering the amount of food they are serving. They have denied it. I'm not sure if that's the reason why the stock was down. Just letting you know it was. This has been one of the stronger restaurant stocks, while a bunch of restaurant stocks have been very, very weak. We'll see how that plays out. I will say I went to Chipotle yesterday, got the chicken or whatever it's called, the spicy one, and I will state for the record, it's only one sampling. I had to get a double of the chicken because of how little they gave of the single. And I wasn't going to get into it with him because the guy was really big behind the counter. Just letting you know. What else? Eli Lilly. As you know, the obesity drug and this and that, and I have questions about it longer term, but I'm just a doofus. That hit a new yearly high, just broke out around at 800, something like that. Up about 3%, nothing big, but just letting you know, it's sticking out. The other one, which is NVO, Novo Nordisk, has not broken out yet. To be watched. Wanted to mention that. I don't know what did it today, but some big biotech. Vertex, VRTX, into new high ground. Regeneron, close. So a couple of big biotechs sticking out. By the way, not a lot sticking out on the upside, but Facebook, Meta, and as you know, we made some very good coin on Facebook coming out of the right out of January. Gap down, defended, has made a lower high, and we're letting you know it's sitting right under the 50-day moving average. If it can break above it, that would change the playing field for this very important stock. And again, usually when stocks gap down, they keep going. Meta, Netflix, both had bad gaps to the downside. Both got very much defended. That is a rarity, but letting you know. Spotify. Now, maybe I'm missing something. I thought they announced 5 weeks ago they're raising prices. Did they re-announce it today, or did they raise prices again because the stock was up $17, 5% today? And that's one of the good charts in the market. Just letting you know. Spotify. Don't own it. Wish I did. I don't know about buying it here. I mentioned to you gold. GLD sitting right on the 50-day moving average and bounced today. Just letting you know. The Bitcoin, GBTC, is one of those ETFs. The next move, if it moves above 63.50, that would be a technical move above range. If you're looking at the IBIT, which basically coincides, about $40.70. Both would have to move above that range. So a few things sticking out. I already did for you what's wrong with this market, and there's a bunch, but there's plenty right. And I got to hand it to the close of the day again today, and got to hand it. Interest rates plunging, oil prices plunging. I think that did the trick. This week, we just want to let you know, tomorrow, CrowdStrike, a very important software security stock. This week, Ollie's Bargain. It's one of these discount retail stocks that acts well versus others that don't. Speaking of that, same after the Wednesday before, Dollar Tree reports. I think it's now $1.25 tree. Five Below, so another discount retailer. Lululemon, that stock that has crashed since January. They report. That's to be watched. Victoria's Secret reports. I'm bringing this up because I don't know if you know this, but they changed everything about themselves and the stock went boom. And now they're changing back and the stock is acting better. You know what I mean by that. I don't need to get into it. And that's about it for reporting this week. Well, Smucker's announced they have good jelly. Big Lots. So a bunch of discount retail. By the way, I didn't realize this. Big Lots stock is down to $3.47. How do you say ouch? What do we tell you about thinking long term? Just make sure what you own is working long term. So that's a little bit on the tidbit front. And I just have to repeat a couple of things. Thankfully, you had this dump in yields and oil because very simply, there's some underneath the surface ick. We'll keep you informed. We'll guide you. We'll still talk what to avoid. I mean, oils just got slammed today. There's a few oils that are stronger than others, but on the whole, so remain avoid. China, not sure. Been on good pullback mode. The biggest problem there, if you look at the FXI, there's a lot of Alibaba and Baidu in there. And I got to tell you, both act like the south end of a northbound jackass, especially Baidu, which, by the way, amazingly, is sitting almost at new yearly lows. So you got to be very careful, very specific. I just love the fact that NVIDIA, Qualcomm, ARM Holdings, Micron, a bunch of these AI names remain in good stead. Let's hope that continues. I said on TV today that needs to continue. Lastly, Apple acts better. Nearing the old highs. We'll keep you informed. A break through those old highs would not be the worst thing in the world. That all said, you have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do. Quite simple. Make sure you hug your family. Make sure you hug your children. They will feel better. You will feel better, I promise. Peace out, all. Stay well. Don't be mad at me. Bye-bye.
This has been Investor's Edge with Gary Kaltbaum on BizTalk. To listen to past episodes or to get in contact with Gary, go to GaryK.com. That's GaryK.com.